we're going to be doing stuff, so be ready.
That's right. We always do stuff on the Bill Simmons podcast, Matt.
That's why we're here. Stuff.
It is stuff time. It's the Bill Simmons podcast, and I'm Chris. Wait, it's the Bill Simmons podcast. I'm so nervous because Matt is back. It's the Bill Simmons podcast. I'm Chris.
Triumphantly returning, I am Matt. For the record, Chris, I was here last week as well, and we recorded it.
It feels like blame is being placed. I accept the blame. I'm sorry, Matt. You had some good jokes.
Yeah, I feel like I did.
To go from just ramping up like this.
It's the Bill Simmons podcast.
Here we go.
To go from just ramping up like this.
Matt, on the first podcast of, I thought I caught up with Nick, but it turns out I left one off. So this is actually 2 weeks ago. It's the Kyle Brandt one from July 31st. It's 2 hours, 7 minutes, and 25 seconds long. 0 seconds in, we continue our branding victory lap
Of the Bill Simmons podcast on the Ringer Podcast Network.
I think we finally shamed him until later in this episode when it turns out not effective. At 146, just laziness.
So that's happening. Hey.
At 215, Matt, can you guess before I play this why Bill Simmons likes the Spotify podcast charts?
Well, it may have something to do with their multiple speeds.
No, that would be the best Spotify guess. In this case, much more self-aggrandizing from Bill's
is it because he's
perspective.
number one?
Yes.
And the Bill Simmons podcast was one of the ones who made it to the top of the charts.
One of the ones.
At 234, National Football League, no article.
When this is my favorite time to do the show, NBA, and then the start of NFL would be the other favorite time. Somehow those two times are now merging.
At 238, try to figure out what the somehow reason is, Matt.
Somehow those two times are now merging.
Any pandemic-related reason that you could conceive of why the NFL and the NBA are both playing at the same time?
Possibly because of the pandemic.
That's a good guess. Matt, do you ever wonder if charts, the word charts is a plural word or a singular word?
No, I never wondered that.
Well, Bill has some confusion at 243.
I like charts just because it gives you at least a sense.
Charts, it gives you. 404. Bill, I think you're limiting yourself to things you don't understand.
Because there's a lot of teen culture. There's stuff I don't understand with TikTok and people fighting, people getting canceled.
There's stuff he doesn't understand. Can you believe it? With teen culture.
With like TikTok.
Yes.
That's it.
Pearl Jam, very late, 417. Oh, Matt, did you know it was a very delicious week?
I did not.
It was. It's like,
It's like,
Shit.
and I remember
Us three.
At 436, time zones important.
Pacific time.
One of Bill's favorite terms of the summer at 549.
How they really wanted to use their platform in all of these different ways.
Platform ways.
At 802, out of context theater.
It's a tiny hole. It's a little prick.
Tiny hole, little prick.
Matt, have you ever heard of the sports organization FIFA?
I have.
Do you know what sport it governs?
Football,
Yes.
also known as soccer.
FIFA stands for the Fédération Internationale de Football Association, or in English, the International Federation of Football Association. At 1035, Bill talks about its relationship to the sport of basketball.
Doing what happened to Paul George in that FIFA game.
He
Wrong.
means FIBA.
Yes, FIBA, Matt. In fact, FIBA, the Fédération Internationale de Basketball, started in 1936, some 34 years after FIFA, also known as the International Basketball Federation.
Of course.
Wrong sport. Sports guy. At 1042, more discussion about property.
The wide real estate behind the basket.
Just say space, dude. You can just say space. Nobody's getting a broker for that.
I feel like in the context he's using it, which is saying real estate to describe area, you wouldn't say wide real estate.
Right.
You would just say, like, there's a lot of real estate,
Yes.
or there's new real estate now.
Yeah,
It's like
can you
there used to
describe
be-
that plot of land you're going to buy? Yes, wide.
Well, also, it's like, okay, there used to be not a lot of room behind the basket. Now there's wide room behind the basket. Like, what does this fucking mean, Bill?
Matt, I'm having trouble remembering this conversation from this sports and pop culture podcast. At 11:18, FIFA, what sport?
Soccer.
And it reminded me of what the FIFA games look like, or even what the Olympics look like. So you had that little bit wider shot.
You son of a bitch.
At 13-18, here's a terrible idea.
I think I would put on the front, maybe on the shorts, I would put the guy's name, the letters in descending order.
I thought about this when he said it, and I was like, this is the dumbest fucking idea I've ever heard. I feel like most basketball fans who have a decent knowledge of the game will be able to tell who the players are on the court to a reasonable degree. Maybe not like the 10th guy on the bench, but in the playoffs, that guy's not playing anyway. Bill's solution is put their name vertically on their shorts.
How long are Shea Gilgeous-Alexander's shorts going to fucking be?
I feel like we should send this suggestion by Bill to Paul Lucas of Uniwatch and see what he has to say about it.
I do like Uniwatch.
Yeah, it's fine. He's a little pretentious.
At 13:55, my notes say, place my anger?
It was nice just to place my anger at Scott Foster again.
Is that
Where's
what you do?
Scott Foster? I need to place anger at him. Don't you place things on other things?
Well, do you place anger on someone?
Well, setting aside that anger is not tangible.
right.
If somehow I were able to hold anger in my hands, I would place it on the table or on Scott Foster.
Is there any chance he means blame?
No, I think he meant he's angry at Scott Foster. I think he just said it fucked up and didn't correct himself.
At 18:23, this is not the first time he has not been able to get circle jerk right.
It's supposed to be a big jerk circle for the players.
This has got to have something to do with Porn Sundays, right?
Yeah, I mean, he has said this enough
It's like a big jerk circle for the Spurs.
to make me believe that it has some context in his mind. Look, I'm not here to suggest that Bill got in a circle and jerked off with a bunch of guys while they watched porn.
But I understand.
There's certainly some evidence to suggest it.
No. It's not a circle jerk with the way we do it.
Maybe it means something to do with a bunch of like holes who all sit around. That would be a jerk circle.
Yeah, I follow.
Or maybe some Caribbean meats.
At 2029, I sure would like to hear Elton John sing about this.
Did they have to sacrifice?
A sacrifice, such a little word. Right.
That's good.
At 22-27,
For MVP?
most ballinest player. At 23-24, Joe Bluth nominee.
There's just too many loopholes.
At 23-35, this swallow.
Ballots. I've never understood that.
Matt, if you had a list of 5 MVP candidates, how many players do you think would be on that list?
At least 4.
It's like an SAT question, isn't it? Listen to Bill do the math at 25-43.
I thought there were 7 worthy top 5 MVP candidates to share.
That's not how it works. You can't decide that you're going to expand a number to include more than that number describes. I mean,
Sounds like something my 5-year-old would do.
I think I know what his point is. His point is saying it sucks that there are 7 people who I would consider as MVP candidates,
Right.
or top 5. Or maybe the way it works is the MVP vote only permits you to list 5, and he's like,
Right.
I really think 7 could be on there, but he certainly doesn't describe it that way. At 27-14, say something concretely, then qualify it.
And that you could justify every spot at least by 80%. So
I don't even know what it means.
Tough numbers pod for Bill. Speaking of numbers, if you're on the second team and you move down, where do you think you end up at 32-12?
2 more weeks, maybe Middleton is my second team forward. I moved Tatum down to second team.
From second team all the way down to second team. At 33-09, my notes say BOOSS.
We're going to have special odd boosts.
He means boosts. At 33-45, this botch.
To $100 back. $100 back.
At 35-05, Matt, if you owned a $100 million or so company, you think you might try to get the name of your product correct?
I'd try.
It's called 10 Questions with Kyle Brandt. That's the title.
That's the title.
He got it right. At 37,
It was almost like he was like, are you sure? That's what we're going
Yes.
with?
At 37-39, Buffalo Bill nominee.
You got into the crosshairs a little bit, I heard.
More of an Ed Grimley. At 38-45, Joe Bluth nominee extraordinaire.
Am I? Where's the 120-page protocol? How are we going to do games?
We'll be back after this.
Oh, I feel like we have to do like a Instagram video or something where it's like stuff time, and then it's that like club music where it's like brr, 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 brr. I'm the ideas man. You put it into work. No? And it's like neon letters across the screen.
Tell me more.
That's how it goes. It's like stuff time. And then boom, 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 boom. And then it's like neon letters across the screen.
Thank you, Zane Lowe, you singing prick with a tiny hole. Matt, we use Anchor.fm for the Bill Simmons podcast. Anchor.fm allows you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer, and it's free. Anchor will not only let you record and edit, you can also distribute your podcast to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more through Anchor. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership, which is handy for the Bill Simmons podcast. Anchor.fm has everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. So download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor.fm to get started.
All right, we're going to bring in my daughter in 1 second.
Matt, Chris, looked up chromosome for this quote at 4211.
I think it takes a special DNA chromosome to be on reality TV for 20 straight years, basically.
Now, he just modified chromosome.
He said it like a
with DNA.
caveman.
A chromosome is a DNA molecule with part or all of the genetic material, genome, of an organism. A chromosome is, per se, DNA. There is no other kind of chromosome besides a DNA chromosome. So that's like saying a DNA molecule. At 4331, this laughter. At 4504, unnecessary article.
In the 0506, you can tell, like,
At 4534, I don't think Bill understands how light bulbs work.
I don't know when the light bulb went off, where it was like, let's just have people in bikinis like rubbing oil on each other as a challenge.
The challenge concept was well lit. Suddenly, the MTV executives lost the ability to see because the room went dark when the light bulb went off. And that's when they came up with the brainstorm of hot chicks in bikinis, people making out and getting drunk.
Of course.
At 5321, great agreement.
I've always felt marriage was really sacred, and I come from divorce.
If you were going to get a great agreement from Bill, do you think it's going to be on marriage is really sacred? And also, do you think he was paying any attention at all when Kyle Brandt said that?
He was paying one DNA chromosome's worth of attention.
I think this is a well-edited swallow at 5406.
This 10 questions podcast you're doing with us.
Nice job. Our boy's learning. At 5604, Russell Rilson.
I would have said it's Russell Wilson.
Remember the Russell Westbrook?
Yeah.
That was a good time. At 5804, things.
So he looks at people like Brady and like the old school Peyton Manning things. Like, those guys are too slow.
Peyton Manning things. At 10136, Matt, is there any way you believe this?
I got it as a joke when I was in high school. And then it just it was BSIMMZ with a Z, though.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And what was the joke? That was like to make your friends laugh? You just got a funny
I just thought it was funny, but then people were like, hey, BSIMMZ. And I think I got rid of it within a year.
There's no way Bill Simmons got a personalized license plate in high school as a joke. He got it because he was a rich prick who thought it would be cool, and then everyone mocked him for it.
Yes.
Like my one buddy got Prue Dog as his license plate when we were in college, and then we nicknamed another person Prue Dog, and then he said, you can't do that. That's my car's name.
What was the significance of Prue Dog?
Prue was a component in his last name.
Okay. Then why'd you name the other guy Prue Dog? Did he also have Prue in his last name? No. You just did it because the guy had
to with the Prue Dog man. Of course.
Like when they when George and Seinfeld they want to name him T-Bone. And the other guy orders the steak, then they call him Coco the monkey.
Yes. Which is why Bill clearly meant sincerely to have a cool ass personalized license plate, and then realized, oh, it's not cool. I've decided ex post facto, it is ironic.
Yeah, what did it say?
BSIMMZ.
Yeah, there is absolutely no chance that Bill did not do that because he thought it was great.
At 102.26, Bill, rich now, rich then.
Oh, CD player.
Yeah, by 87, 88 range, there was some CD player action.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
He had a fucking CD player in his car. In 87 or 88.
I don't even... Did they have CDs in 87 and 88?
I assume in like the top of the line they did.
I feel like CDs were not a thing in 87 and 88.
Well, CDs were around, but I don't know if car CD players were.
Rich.
At 103.43, Matt, I'd like to know your answer to this question.
Which justice am I?
All right, let's see.
I think it's the chief. Somebody who is not super well respected for his brain.
Right.
But is in charge.
And constantly changes his opinion on things to be in what he perceives as the more popular position.
At 105, Bill, the sports guy, the author of The Book of Basketball, gets Tom Chambers' team wrong.
The famous Tom Chambers two-hand dunk when somebody on the Suns and he vaults out and it seems like he's like superhuman.
Chambers was on the Suns. He did not dunk on somebody who was on the Suns. He dunked as somebody who was on the Suns. At 107.53, this unnecessary article.
If only Starks had won in the Game 7, it's like.
At 109.43, don't go off script during ad reads, Bill.
If there's a situation in your city where they have awesome outdoor seating for Buffalo Wild Wings.
Do you think the copy said, if there's a situation in your city?
If there's a situation in your city
with awesome outdoor seating.
Where they have awesome outdoor seating.
At Buffalo Wild Wings.
For Buffalo Wild Wings.
I feel like the Buffalo Wild Wing ad reads have been particularly hard for Bill because he has been preaching extreme
social
adherence
isolation.
to social isolation rules. But I mean, in some parts of the country, Buffalo Wild Wings are like open for indoor eating. Bill is trying to maintain his position, but is also like, this advertiser who paid lots of money wants me to say this. And I think he's struggling to do that.
At 109.58, this.
Doesn't matter. Not if you're cheering from wherever you're watching at Buffalo Wild Wings. And if you're not at the bar, you're watching at home with your favorite wings for a limited time.
Wherever you're watching at Buffalo Wild Wings.
So it's like if you're cheering from the corner,
the bar,
a
booth,
maybe the waiting area while you're waiting with the little hand buzzer thing. By the way, I'll take your money, Buffalo Wild Wings.
I'll take it too.
But that food sucks, man.
Yeah, not great. Last experience took forever and then got very mediocre wings. My kids love it. I think they just like the name.
Yeah, terrible.
At 110.32, this botch.
Bundles only for takeout or delivery.
Matt, the justification at 111.43 and what actually happens are so inconsistent.
When you have like 8 to 12 Jack and Cokes and smoke 8 cigarettes, you're probably going to be wired when you try to fall asleep. And I was like, that's a good point.
Now, Matt, Bill drinks too many whiskey and Cokes or Jack and Cokes, terrible bourbon or Tennessee whiskey, and decides that because of the caffeine in the drink, he's too wired.
Right.
What drink do you think he switches to so he becomes less wired?
Warm milk.
Good guess. Here's what he actually says.
So at some point, I moved to Red Bull and vodka.
Red Bull and vodka.
So he was like, let me take regular caffeine. Now, this gets me too hyped up. Let me take supercharged caffeine drink that is designed to keep me awake and mix it with alcohol.
They're much less wired. At 1:15, this swallow.
Nobody would ever write those kind of Vegas things anymore.
At 1:16:21, vague.
2.5 hour games. They just choose to add an extra 30 minutes of whatever.
All right. I guess if you decide to, sure. Matt, are you a soccer fan at all?
None.
I'm a soccer fan to some degree. I've been watching championship, I've been watching champs. I wish there was a fucking abbreviation for Champions League. You can't call it Champs League. You can't call it CL. People are going to think you're talking about watching Craigslist. You just have to call it Champions League, like a fucking English teacher. That being said, I have been watching Champions League. The problem is there is no one who has decided to switch sports for this reason at 1:16:41.
I think that's one of the reasons people drifted to soccer with the 2-hour games in soccer, where it's just like you kind of know what the beginning, middle, end is.
No one has been like, oh my God, I love football so much, but the games are so long. I will switch sports to this other sport. I can't believe he says this with a straight face. And then Kyle Brandt or whoever's the guest at this point is just like, yeah.
Yeah, people definitely do that.
At 1:18:02, this bail.
I just wanted to make it seem different than anyway. So I was always trying to come up with some idea.
At 1:19:36, missing article.
So we had this whole trip to Super Bowl.
At 1:21:47, Joe Bluth nominee, and then thing.
And then the ref's doing this thing with his. And it was like, wait.
At 1:24:43, I feel so bad for Eli Manning.
They're just pounding, grabbing Eli by the thing and pounding him down or whatever. And it was
poor Eli.
They're pounding him. They're grabbing him by the thing and then pounding him down. Matt, I don't know all that much about race car driving, but I don't think Bill does either. At 1:26:10.
It was like this race car he had never been behind before. And he was just like, oh my God.
Do you remember the last time, Matt, when you're like, you know what's better than driving a race car? Following one.
I've never been behind this one before.
Yes. Hey, sweet honey, look what's ahead of us. It's a race car. At 1:32:30, My favorite verb.
I basically plowed through the entire heavyweight boxing catalog of the 70s and 80s.
At 133.29, Joe Bluth nominee.
That's like an OG search. Yeah.
At 135.31, Joe Bluth nominee.
We kind of did a host switch.
At 136.43, Joe Bluth nominee.
Unless like something like if
Matt, can you guess what's at 137.59?
A Joe Bluth nominee.
Bingo.
like this is Belichick. This is why he wakes up in the mornings.
At 139.24, no.
I look forward to launching your show on the Ringer Podcast Network. What day is it? August 17th? Is that what we
August
said?
12th.
August 12th.
Yeah, whatever. As long as it makes me money. At 139.37, this laughter. This is a quiz.
I'm prepared.
What do you think the reason is for Bill's love of Spotify podcast charts?
The charts?
The charts.
Probably where he is on them.
You're learning, Matt. At 139.48.
More importantly, to me, I have one of the top podcasts on the charts.
Chris, do you know what speed Bill prefers?
At 140.22. Let's get into it a little deeper.
1.2 speed is really the sweet spot for that. But other ones, you kind of need the 1.5 bump. I like being able to decide my own speeds.
Why does he lower his voice sensually to talk about this?
Ooh, baby. 1.2.
Welcome to NPR.
Yeah,
where we're gonna talk
it's
about
more like,
these speeds.
I got a new pizza pie. I can't wait to try this Fanta. I spent the whole day in the garden. It's so delicious with the tin foil. Does it sound like our boy Morpheus?
You're straining too much. He's not that. Have you listened to some of the older ones where he hasn't learned quite how to whisper yet?
It's stoked now.
You gotta go like a year back, and you'll hear him. He's kind of like this. Hi everyone. Welcome to my channel. And it like goes up and down.
You gotta get the good thumbnail. There you go. He's so good, dude.
It's great.
Also, he gives me a headache like every time. Between him and Review Bra, it's just like,
Who's Review Bra?
Oh, Matt, you don't know Review Bra?
No.
It's the news review, report of the week. Or no, it might be report of the week, news review. And then it's just like, here's a new thing from Burger King. And then he's like, you got to check it out.
Does he always wear a suit?
Yep.
Yeah, okay,
Yep,
I've seen this. I never watched him, but I've seen his videos pop up because YouTube is like, you
like
degenerate.
Watch this freak eat. I think the only two channels the Bill Simmons podcast YouTube channel follows or subscribes to are Morpheus and Review Bra. It's like, do you like watching people eat and then describe it? You'll love this podcast about another podcast and the video of it.
Because you're probably a weirdo.
Yes.
All right, so back to Bill. Bill really likes the Spotify app. He likes it because he can decide his own speeds. He'll tell us, possibly on this occasion, but definitely on many others, that he prefers 1.2. The other things he likes are navigating the app.
Yes.
I just like navigating the app.
Chris, it is clear to me that Bill has shit to say about Spotify.
Yes. Yeah, he's run out of, like, that's the whole list. At 141.04, this Joe Bluth nominee.
Because I had bad facial hair going for a long time, and I shaved it.
At 141.24.
My face was on protest until basketball came out, but now it's back.
What does that mean, on protest? Does he mean it was protesting? Was he doing it as a protest itself? At 142.49, Bill swears to his daughter, who is 15.
Friends are giving her shit.
Now, I'm not saying it's bad to swear. We swear on this podcast and, of course, bleep it out. But is that good parenting?
No, it's terrible.
At 145.49, plowing.
We've been plowing through a lot of the rom-coms.
At 148.39, 13-year-old girl.
Creator of the Hype House.
Okay.
At 148.59, Matt, act as an actual judge.
He's like 18 now, and I think she's 16, so little kind of weird.
That's not totally legal.
Matt, is it legal for an 18-year-old to date a 16-year-old?
In the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, yes.
At 151.16, if you swear to your children, they will swear back.
So he's just
So
lining
he's like the
out
bad
all
guy
the shit
now.
that people had done.
At 156.34, he means women, which is the plural of woman.
The woman really stood out in the movie because
Yeah.
they're just so good.
He means women. At 206.03, Bill says this in a way that implies It only occurred in the past.
I don't know how I'm half responsible for you. I was way more inconsiderate and selfish.
Now, definitely not inconsiderate or selfish. Right, Matt?
Definitely.
Well, we got 1 of 4.
Oh, yay, oh, yay, oh, yay.
Matt, it's the BS Podcast. That's it for this week. I'm Chris.
And I'm Matt.
Matt, as always, we want to thank the people that support us monetarily, not the people that support us emotionally, because honestly, emotional support doesn't pay the bills the way Josh N., Jeff G., Scott B., Sean, and our friends at College Football Brothers Podcast support us with money. They do it through Patreon, patreon.com/bspodpod. You can also support us as David P. and Scott B. do through Anchor. That's anchor.fm/bspodpod. David, as we always say, you're giving us too much money. Also, I think Scott B. is possibly giving us money through Anchor and Patreon. Scott, it's not worth it. Thank you very much to our producers. You know who's disappointing to me? Kenji Lopez-Alt. Very interesting.
I like him.
Very knowledgeable. Very kind of on Twitter and Instagram.
What do you mean?
I know, he just comes across like his responses to people in particular.
So I think
he's one of those guys who does not translate well to the written word.
He takes great offense when like random YouTube commenters say things or Twitter people tweet at him or stuff like that. And yeah, he feels like he needs to clap back and also clap back in a way that's kind of like, well, guess what? F you. So yeah, I understand. But I also think his videos are all pretty good.
Yeah, they're good.
He does this thing where he like cooks.
Oh, yeah.
He wears like the camera on his head.
I watched those for sure. Yeah. Very good.